It really all starts with my brother. So my brother's 4 years older than me. Growing up, he started playing hockey when he was 4, and I was born into the rink. I chased him around for the next 10, 12 years of my life trying to be him. And when he turned 16, he was ready to go from minor hockey to junior hockey. And he was quite a big boy. So he made a team, and they told him he had to lose 30 pounds in a summer in order to actually make the team at main camp. So he was running around the neighborhood. It was quite a few years ago. So garbage bag on, in the sauna with the garbage bag on, trying to lose the water weight. And he did, and he made that team. And once he got there, that's when the story really picks up, because injuries started happening. He blew out both of his knees. He was grinding it out in not so great of a league. And I was absolutely fascinated with that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do exactly what he does. Like, I'm up next. And like I said, he was a big boy, but I wasn't. I was quite a small boy. And I was like, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna hit the gym, eat well, do everything I need to do to be big enough to not get bullied out on the ice. And that's exactly what made me start hating hockey and hating the experience. I love being around the boys, being in the locker room, having fun. I was there for that community and that belongingness. I love the competition and all that, but the suffering and the pain of trying to get to the next level just wasn't for me. So as he progressed, I started to realize that I wasn't going to be able to do what was necessary. And I started to move away from hockey, kind of coast off into the sunset and move towards school. When my brother was in his last year of juniors, he got an NCAA deal, and a month later, he broke his back. And of course, the doctors told him, you're not gonna make the NHL, you're not gonna make millions of dollars, it won't be worth it. He said, screw that, I'm gonna go play, I'm heading down to the States. And as he was overcoming all that adversity, I was learning about psychology, I was getting interested in that. So when he was down in America, I was up here in Canada doing my undergrad in clinical psych. And I just kept asking him, why are you doing the things that you do? You have no knees, you have no back, you're a healthy scratch, you're not getting played. And then he started liking some of the ideas that I was sharing from all my clinical psych classes. And he started telling me, you have to start telling the boys about this. I'm loving this, it's helping my game, you gotta tell them. And then that's really when I first found out that, like, hey, can you marry my academic world of psychology with my love for sports and hockey? And I never heard about sports psychology or mental performance coaching before then, and that was my first introduction. And ever since then, I wanted to just contribute and give back to the next generation so that they don't have to go through what my brother went through. So I met Cassidy back in 2019 at an academic conference, and I was on track to become an academic, staying with the research route. And then he had this awesome presentation, one of our first renditions of the CEP Mindset presentation, and I was absolutely captivated by that. So I asked him if I could have a job, and he goes, I have no job. He's like, but if you want, you could hang out. And I said, absolutely. So again, that was 2019. So within around 9-10 months later, the pandemic came and everything was on Zoom. So I just hung out with Cassidy on Zoom and learned as much as I can. And I started to realize that the vision he had, the ideas that he had were absolutely fascinating and necessary. And I thought there was a huge need in the world for it. And I just knew I had to be a part of that. So I did everything I could to be a part of it and to stick around. And 5 years later, he still keeps me here, and we're happy, we're growing, we're innovating, we're contributing, and we're trying to have a positive impact on the world. With all my new athletes, I like to talk about mental toughness and having a very clear definition of what it means to be mentally tough. And my definition is the ability to be aware of, accept, and influence your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And I'll unpack that a little bit. Awareness and acceptance is really mindfulness. So we want to be mindful. And in order to be mindful, you have to be aware of what's going on, but you also can't be at conflict with what you're aware of, because otherwise you're right back to square one. So we need that combination of both awareness and acceptance. And then a lot of young athletes think they need to control what's happening. And I don't really love that word. I like to really focus on the power of language. And instead of control, I like that word influence. Because when we think about influence, we think of it more on a spectrum from less to more influence, and how we want to be able to move all the way up to that positive side. And I really like the combination of thoughts, feelings, and actions, which I call TFA, because it's the combination of how they're all working together. It's not one or the other. So bringing it all together, awareness, acceptance, and influence of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. I think it's all about balance. Mental performance coach, that coach is a key aspect. I try to stay away from the talk therapy side of things, and there's always a moment in time where you just need to hear people out and be a sounding board, be a light post for them. But we really try to take that proactive approach, and in my opinion is it's my responsibility to figure out when someone needs to go to therapy and when maybe someone else would be a better fit. But my approach is balancing the fun, the excitement, the lightness of coaching with the actual diligence and focus and hard work. So I try to keep it light, I try to keep it fun, but I also try to keep the work flowing, be deliberate, be direct, and be purposeful. I would say the relationships. So doing this full time now for 5 years, a lot of my athletes have come and gone, but a lot of athletes have stayed, or I've worked with them for many years, and seeing them progress through life, growing, developing, and then hearing from them in the future, even if we stop working together and they reach back out telling me that a conversation that we had a couple years ago still sticks with them and they implement that in their life to this day, that is definitely the most fulfilling aspect for me.